XFX3 has nearly been out for a year now, and I'm stoked to have my hands on the FC-6 controller, which is specifically designed to use with the XFX3. Thank you so much to Andrew at Independent Music here in Australia for getting one of these out to me. I was hoping that this would have arrived later last week, but Australia Post actually had a train derailment, so this is coming from one side of the country to the other, and you know, I was sitting there and I was watching the tracking and I was like, come on, where is it? And I got this notification like there's been a train derailment and your package might be late, which freaked me out a little bit, but it's Monday, it's here, super awesome. So the first thing I noticed about this thing was it was a bit bigger than I expected, which is not a bad thing in any way, because one thing when you're playing guitar live that always annoys me is when stuff's like too dinky and too small and there's not enough space for my big dumb feet. As you can see, it's a, you know, compared to the size of my big dumb head, takes up the whole thing. You've got 6-foot switches with scribble strips and little surrounds which light up, which is awesome, and a really big display. And then hopefully you can see on the back there are plenty of ports for external foot switches, and my favorite thing, the FAS link, which means if you want to connect this guy to your XFX3, you need a single XLR cable, and I think that's the coolest thing about it. There's nothing more annoying than setting up for a gig. You know, I used to run a big rack with a MIDI controller and having to run 2 MIDI cables and also have a power supply for your controller. Everything that powers this is in that thing, which I think is awesome. And we also do all the editing for the unit there as well. Obviously, it's Fractal, it's rock solid, really, really well made. And yeah, let's have a look at how to basically set this thing up from the get-go. So if you've just got one of these, you plug an XLR in, what should you do? I'll give you a very brief rundown of what to expect and how to set it up from the front panel, as well as just basically breaking down a preset that I made. This is in no way going to be an extensive overview. Like I said, I just got this thing. I'm obviously super excited to play around with it and show you guys what it can do, and there will be plenty more videos featuring the FC-6 to come. So if you've got questions about it, please let me know in the comments. Until then, let's have a look at the functionality of this thing. Okay, once you've connected the FC-6 using just a single XLR, which I think is so cool, big fan of the one cable method, hit setup on your XFX3. And then we'll go to FC controllers. And the first thing that I would suggest is page all the way across and hit enter and load the FC-6 factory settings. That is going to be the easiest way to use this. If you don't want to do that though, you can start with the easy mode and you can just hit any foot switch that you like on the FC-6. For example, I'll hit the bottom right switch. And you can assign its function in whichever layout you're in. So super easy. I really like that all the foot switch editing doesn't happen on the actual foot switch, it happens on the unit. So most of the time you got your XFX3 racked up, probably at around arm height. It's way easier than just bending over. So that's a really nice little workflow thing that I'm a big fan of. And if you page across, you can basically, there's all the sort of sub menus in here, and you can see the default layouts as they are here, and you can name all of these. Again, you don't have to use the defaults, but I would highly suggest it. And furthermore, you've got different colors that you can assign. This thing's totally customizable. All the controller brightness displays, make it whatever you like. And there's also the MIDI menu here with the control switches, which is super cool. So that is how you could dial it in, but my suggestion would be just load the default layout, and we'll move over to the actual controller itself and show you a single preset and some of the functions that you can do with it. So once you've loaded up the default settings, which I highly recommend because they're really, really well thought out, you'll be presented with the master layout menu. If for some reason you're not on the master layout menu, for example, you might be here on the layout number 1, which by default is presets, this is the most important move to remember. With your heel, or the lower part of your foot, press this button and then sort of rock forward the way you would use like a wah pedal, and press this button. So, and that will bring up the master layout menu. So there's 8 possible layouts. I've actually tweaked the default layout a little bit for the FC-6 based on a suggestion by Yek. He's on the forum. He's an absolute legend. He's done the amp guides and so much stuff for the community, and this layout is just so clever. The way I've got it set up is, as you can see, I've got 4 different layouts on this page and a tuner, and then this button which will let me page across to the other 4 layouts, and the tuner is in the same place in each of those. So if I was doing a gig and I wanted to access my tuner, I could do that kind of master layout menu access trick, and then I would have my tuner in the same spot, and I can go between a preset menu, a scene menu, a performance mode, kind of basically whatever I want, an effects mode. So this is the way I would set this up if I was using a gig. I just use the scenes mode, which is here. And then this has got, in this case, 6 scenes for me. I might assign a tuner to this one right here, which is super easy to do. It's kind of foolproof using the front panel, but I'll do a separate tutorial for that. But this will let me go through my scenes like so. Then I could select a scene, say the tight scene, scene 3 here, and I could go to the individual effects page and just turn individual effects on and off. It's like having a whole new pedal board at your feet. As you can see here, we've got drive, delay, reverb, multi-delay, and I can turn them all on and off individually. Which is pretty darn wild. I've got access to the tuner here if I want it, which is super duper handy. And again, I can put these wherever I like them, and it's pretty easy to edit them from the front panel. Essentially, you just want to go to the foot controllers menu and use the easy mode, and then basically press a button on this and it will load up on the easy mode how to edit it. I will do a separate tutorial on how to set all that up later on, but yeah, that's a really, really brief overview of the FC-6. Now that I've got it in my hands, it's like the client-server method is so clever. You use your AXFX 3 for all the MIDI stuff, and then use the FC-6 basically to control all of that kind of stuff, and to control all the functions in the AXFX 3, your control switches, your channels, there's press and hold features. It's totally customizable. You can have the 8 layouts. It's essentially like having 8 totally separate effects boards. And, you know, yeah, there's only 6 switches there, but if you use the master layout menu and you use the page function, it's so much more. It's like having all the functions of the AXFX 3 at your feet. I also love that it's just a single XLR cable, which is making me so happy at the moment. So there will be plenty more videos with this guy to come. If you have specific questions, if you're an FC6 or FC12 owner and you've got questions about setting it up, or you're potentially looking to buy one, please let me know in the comments. Ask me anything you like, and I'll do my best to get back to you guys, and hopefully be able to cater some of my future videos to those requests. So thanks again to Andrew at Independent Music again for getting this out. Not even a train derailment could get in the way of them getting this thing out to me. And yeah, I'm super stoked with it. I'm going to play a whole bunch more with it, and I will see you guys all around very, very soon.